Laughing Vikings Actors Audition Club. We did almost 700 audition sessions here this past year. In studio, that was 400 members did in-studio audition sessions. Sorry, not 400 members, but 400 sessions. Non-members, so people who weren't in the club, that was 170. And then members did 60 Zoom sessions and non-members did 32 Zoom sessions. So all told, yeah, the number's actually 663. So collectively, I don't have a breakdown between who was running the sessions, but shout out to Brandon, to me, to Lucy, to Kat, to Amy, Nick for Worda ran some sessions. That I'm super proud of. And I know that there was dozens and dozens of bookings as well. So to be a part of that community where creatively we're getting in on the creative process and able to help a performer or an actor craft a professional audition, either in studio or via Zoom, that ends up booking them a role. And I know there's a good chunk of those roles that were booked that we worked with people that were like game changers and life changers, where they're like ensemble leads in a movie, or it's their biggest ensemble leads in a TV series, or a big role against like a A-list celebrity lead in a film too, where they're going to have like just a massive, amazing amount of good, positive memories from that. So yeah, that's a big one for me. And that's one of my favorite things always is when we like, people will always send us a DM, or we won't see someone for a couple weeks and then they'll come back and they'll be like, oh, remember that thing you helped me with last time? I booked it. And we're like, fuck yeah. And we have a big little celebration.
Yeah. Have a little dance party.
Yeah. We have a little dance party here. High fives. Maybe not high fives.
Yeah.
Air high fives. Yeah. Elbow fives.
Elbow fives.
Yeah. Elbow sevens. Yeah. There you go. So that, yeah. And what it means to me is just that we have a community here, and it's really cool to get to celebrate the wins of your peers as well. And that should be part of this look back, is not only your own wins and your own successes, but I think a big part of that is look around to your family members, your coworkers, your peers, your friend circle, and hopefully that you've witnessed a lot of wins amongst those people. So celebrate those. And if you're not in that crowd, maybe you need to re-examine the crowd of people that you're around. But I think really it's just about being happy for other people, especially in performers. Sometimes there's a trap of like almost
jealousy.
Jealousy or sour grapes. Like, oh, how come they got what I didn't get? Or when's my turn going to be? Which is just such scarcity mindset. Like it's not about that. There's no set pie, and someone getting a gig isn't taking your piece of the pie. We live in an abundant world with more productions and more opportunities than ever before. So you should only be celebrating other people's successes. And if you didn't have as many as you would have hoped compared to what they would want to, probably stop comparing yourself to them and just focus on your own life. But the other option is be inspired by those people rather than being like, oh, how did they get that and I didn't get that? Like you get what you get and you don't get what you don't get.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is being able to leave the restaurant job that I've had for 3+ years. And I'm now going to be working with Laughing Vikings full time.
Huge.
And I'm very excited for that. And I'm very excited to continue growing with Laughing Vikings, to continue to help people book roles and continue to uplift in it and inspire everyone that comes through those doors.
Shout out to you. And it was interesting because I was watching you begrudgingly still to take one last shift throughout the year and go do a thing that you admittedly don't really like you're not inspired by it. You didn't like the travel back and forth.
No.
All that stuff. And also for not a ton of money either. So it was exciting for me to see you do that. Congratulations on making that leap. I know there's always a little like clingy, like you, especially when it comes down to income. You can kind of cling to an old source of income that holds you back from making a leap in entertainment. But just you got to shake and I'm not saying you personally, but if anyone has that sort of starving artist again, like there's more abundance and more wealth, even in times like now where things have all been on a shuffle because of a global pandemic. There's still just enough, or just the same amount, if not more money. It's just money's changing hands and wealth is changing hands. So it's just figure out how to
and it's picking up
attract that.
new skills so that you're able to stay in the business,
Right.
so that you're not only acting all the time. Because I've done that before, where I left a job at Costco that I was at for 7 years I did a year of only acting, and it wasn't, I had to go back into doing a Joe job because I didn't budget myself properly. I didn't I didn't think there was as much work to it, and I thought things would start coming to me. And that's not the mindset I needed to get behind. I needed to get behind finding different ways of making money and different avenues of doing the thing that I love in a different way, and finding something in the business that was sustainable, but maybe not. No, that was just as sustainable, and that has
Right.
been the biggest thing. And coming here and working with you, Lars, and working with everyone at Laughing Vikings has been a dream come true.
Yes, well, thank you. And we're lucky to have you, and all the actors who run through sessions with you are lucky to have you as a session director. I know that you care a lot. You always add a lot to it. You in your head, you never want to let them leave. Like sometimes people are like, oh yeah, it's good enough. Yeah, I'm okay with that. But if you have a spark of an idea, like, oh, what about one more thing, one more little moment, or one more little choice, or one more little layer to weave in, or a new moment before, or a new button at the end, or just literally anything, just a little physical thing. Who knows what it is? But I know that you like me, often you'll work with people to get that moment, rather than being like, okay, yeah, you're good, and you're not really taking responsibility, which I mean, which comes down to treating people's other auditions like they're your own, because they're your friends and clients and people that we care about in the community here. So like, I think the reason you care is because you do care. Like it's not like you're pretending to care because you want to do a good job. You actually care, and you actually are rooting for all these people, and the creative in you as well. When you have an idea, there's like, we're all these creators, and we like to play God. And whether you're a writer or an actor or a director, part of it is being able to like think of an idea and then turn it into a thing. So there's something really satisfying as well to having a fun little creative idea, or a good, just a choice to offer up to an actor. And that's all we ever do, is we just offer choices to people, where you're like, hey, what about if this, or what if at the beginning you did that? And then people are like, ooh, yeah, I like that, let's do it. And then they go shoot it, and then you feel so satisfied, where you're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had an idea and somebody liked it and did something with it. And then they booked a
Or
lead in a series.
They took the idea and and took it
Right.
even further, and you're like, oh my god, that's even better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, which is kind of what you're supposed to do as a director, is kind of feed the imagination of the actors, and then really let the actor make the choice. Like I wouldn't necessarily give them the exact. I'd be like, well, what if there's something a little physical, or give me a little funny wave at the end, or I like a wink, or what would you say if the scene just kept running and they didn't say cut? What's the next thing you would say? And then they flush out a few, and you hone it. But yeah, that's great. I got to say another thing though, for this one, achievements, wins, big or small. One of the things that I'm most proud of, this is a personal one for me, but I couldn't have done it without a lot of people, especially you, is going back to school and enrolling in a conservatory program with Todoroff Conservatory out of New York. But this year, due to the strangeness of the world, doing it remotely, and then hopefully spending some time in New York this spring. But that's been incredible for me. Such a year of growth. Like now I think like every year I spent before in conservatory, I'm like, if I had just done this first, I would have known what I was doing at least the whole time. Like I had a sense of it, and I was taking workshops and doing a lot of education on my own. I would take intensives here and there on a weekend, or classes here and there. And I've always been a natural sort of self-student, DIYing it, consuming things, consuming podcasts, reading books, but not have gone through an all-encompassing program So like now I'm doing scene study multiple times per week, voice and speech classes multiple times per week, film history, theater history, movement, improv, Shakespeare. Next semester, we're doing more film production. We're doing musical theater. Like there's all kinds of stuff that we're doing in second semester that we haven't done. And then we're also going to continue with a lot of the classes. So although 2021 was like 2020 was a year where I didn't spend as much time on stage or on set as I would like to, I can confidently say I've spent the most time immersing myself in my craft and performing, and maybe even performed more as an actor, especially when you add Comedy Alley. Like that's not acting, but it's still sort of, I count it as stage time. But because of conservatory, I feel more like an actor than I ever have. And a big part of that as well that I'm really proud of, and you know this, is aside from some high school Shakespeare, I didn't, as an actor, spend any time delving into Shakespeare, not really even respecting it that much. Just, oh, it's just an old thing that people do back in the day, or every once in a while someone does it on Broadway, or when you go to Stratford, you get to see people who talk like that. But I never delved that deep into it, and I fucking love it. It's one of my favorite things ever. So shout out to Mary Lou Rosado at the Todoroff Conservatory. It's a game changer for me. Like just reading those words and yeah, I can't even say it. Not only Mary Lou, we had our other guests. Fill me in because I'm spacing on their names right now.
James Wallace and Julia Nish Lapidus.
Of course, from Shakespeare Bashed.
Yes.
From Shakespeare Bashed. Both of them so amazing. So all actors out there, like train. Like if you're not in a class, what are you doing? Go back to class. It's just way more fun. You're growing. You're always active. And if you can't be in class, at least be reading scripts and watching great movies or watching great plays. But really, Shakespeare, just getting into Shakespeare, at least have that notch on your belt where you're like, you can crank out a monologue or two, or you just, it's just those words, man. Once you can do a long Shakespeare monologue, you can pretty much do anything in TV and film because the writing's never going to be that challenging. So it's just, and it's so deep and so rich. Can't say enough. I can't say enough. William Shakespeare has been dead for so fucking long. And yet here we are on a podcast and I'm gushing about him. And he's dead. He's been dust for like however long. How long? 1,700 years.
Who knows?
He's been dead for 6 million years. And yet here we are. Yeah, it's Shakespeare and the dinosaurs. What else do we talk about?
You learn so much from Shakespeare. Shakespeare is one of the best teachers you'll ever have because it is such a challenging thing to wrap your head around. But once you do, your mind opens up, the world of possibilities open up for you. Like you're able to find all these things because you've been able to dissect a Shakespearean speech. And like the more you do that, the better you will be at being a text detective, which is something we should all be striving to be better at.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And under the same heading, Tom always tells us this, that great actors need to find great writers. So it's like you don't become a great actor on crappy words. You have to find the best writing, and then that brings the best out of you as a human. And if the term is actors are professional human beings, acting in these imaginary, being truthful in these given circumstances of the script, you need to find the best writing about human experience to then experience it as an actor and become the best. So love all those. I love the fact that like old movies that I watched this past year and old plays, like all the plays that you like, Streetcar Named Desire, Arthur Miller, All My Sons, old ones like the Greek, like not just Shakespeare, the old Greek tragedies, which predate Shakespeare. I never touched any of that stuff. And I sort of knew of it, but now like my appreciation for film and television and for dramaturgy, theater is like tenfold. And the crazy thing is the more you learn about something, the more you start to appreciate how much you don't know. So it's just like, now I'm just at the tip of the iceberg of this giant Shakespeare iceberg. I'm at the bottom of Shakespeare Mountain trying to get to the top of Shakespeare Mountain. And there's a lot.
What you need to go to the top of Shakespeare Mountain. Do you have another point for this, or?
Well, I was going to shout you out because as a Christmas present,
Oh,
Brandon gave me the hard copy of Much Ado About Nothing. Also gave me another book called The Shakespeare Companion. There he is, right there, old Billy Shakes.
Old Billy.
And then the other one, which I fucking love already, and I'm taking a deep dive into him already, is Henry V and all the epic speeches in Henry V. So thank you for that. What were you going to say about Shakespeare Mountain?
So the best way to climb up Shakespeare Mountain is with a ton of gumption.
Pure and plain gumption. Good old gumption heart and a can-do attitude. Here come the gumption boys, the good old gumption boys. And we just come in and
see, that's a team I want to cheer for. I want to cheer for the people that are just putting their effort in and get no results, but still they still keep going for it.
No. I'm going to back you up on that one. We are getting results because that's how you get results. You get results with gumption.
You get
sometimes a little pure, good old gumption. When you're down on your luck, what do you need to do? Turn up the old gumption meter with the gumption boys.
So I like that. I like the gumption meter.
Gumption. Yeah. Like this. Gumption level over 9,000.